Okay, so repetition. So our second goal for our second project for this quarter is the repetition project. So you're going to create something that has visual repetition. And because something repeats throughout your piece, whether that's a color, a texture, or the kind of form that you're creating, it'll have that sense of gestalt or unity where everything feels like it's coming together. So let's look at some professional examples. Here we've got these bottles stacked in this kind of like shelving system. And what I point out to people is while we have actual repetition of these green bottle forms and the openings, we also have repetition on a smaller level within that. Every edge is rounded and curved. We have these little round details down here. We have this rounded opening, and the bottles themselves are round. So you can imagine this piece with a flat top, that would feel a little strange. But because everything has a curve, it feels like everything belongs together. This one, everything's geometric, right? So we've got this form, the actual triangular form that makes these peaks and makes these legs are triangular. So we have that repeating to create a very symmetrical, stable looking form. But then in addition, he's painted this, or I assume it's a he, but it could be a she, with small dots. So we got repetition in the way that it's painted and the kind of form that it is. This one has repetition with transformation. So one thing that I want to encourage you guys to think about when you're doing your repetition piece is that if you just do straight repetition, it's kind of like a drummer playing the very most simple beat that they possibly can. This artist is changing things as it goes from right to left or left to right. And that metamorphosis that happens makes it a little bit more interesting. So it's sort of like a drummer playing a beat that repeats but alters itself, where you get a rhythm instead of a repetition. And that's going to make your piece more exciting. Here's a texture that's being repeated. You can imagine putting 3 or 4 different textures on 3 or 4 different slabs and then cutting them into sections, stripes, and weaving them together or gluing them onto another slab with some slip. That would create a visual repetition where we don't have any change in color here, but the pattern of the textures creates the repetition in this piece that kind of looks like a tapestry. Or it could be an element, that repeats, like these handles going around the edge of this plate, or these 2 fish. And then we have smaller repetition on this one as well. We got these little thumbprints here and here, but it's symmetrical, so we have this repetition. Nice base. It could be thematic. These are different ways of looking at the earth. Now, this is a pretty extensive piece. It's an installation. But you could think thematically about something like, how do I present the same thing in many different ways? This looks like somebody who liked to throw, and they would throw like a cup form and then just give it a little squeeze. And I like the fact that they painted the rims of their pieces yellow and kept the rest of it kind of simple. Almost looks like coral, but it gives it a little sense of like that circle repeating, which was there, but they emphasized it with the change in color at the top of the piece. I also like the fact that he thought about what he was going to present it on, and he didn't put it on just like a table or like a black piece of wood, but that he brought in or used a natural material as a base for this piece. Beat Kuhn's a famous ceramic artist, so I wanted to show you some of hers. These wonderful interlocking forms that she creates. She uses repetition in a lot of her pieces. Beautiful color, really interesting forms. This kind of reminds me of asparagus, but it could be like coral, something organic. This one is like amazing. These kind of spoon forms coming around the lip. That would be a real technical challenge for anybody. So you can imagine why, or trying to make something like that, why she's famous. This is a student piece. I think I showed you another one of his in the resemblance piece. He threw a bunch of bowls. We could count them. 1, 2, 3. No, let's not do that. But he then stacked them after throwing them to create this piece that looked like a dragon coming in and out of water. And here's just a simple throne form with a kind of a spiral design on there. So something even as simple as that, I think, could fit into the resemblance category. So there's just some ideas to get you started. And I look forward to seeing what you're doing. We'll do another video about a way to do this project, but I already put one up. So you can take a look at that one, although we might not be able to get to that one this week. We'll talk about that in class. Bye.